impervious surfaces. The gravel surface is out there, which in many places it's considered impervious in the post-construction phase. So putting a portable storage unit on it, it's basically putting an impervious surface on a pervious surface. So you're not increasing the amount of impervious surface on the project site with the storage units. Additionally, there's no earth disturbance proposed, so we're not going to have go to 5,000 foot criteria, where you would have to provide a stormwater management report. We're basically just using the site as is.
So the containers will go on the site, any rain and whatnot, you're stating that it's just going to run off and the gravel's there, that's sufficient to catch?
Yes.
Sean, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I generally agree. Just using my sense of how water flows. If the rain were to hit the gravel, it would run through it, and if you have a steel storage unit there, the rain will hit the storage unit, then run through the gravel. There wouldn't be a big difference. I think technically, if you look at the numbers of how you evaluate these things, there's the smallest difference between impervious and gravel. Sort of like how you recommended, it might not be a bad idea to have a little bit of foresight. We know there's a few issues down in that area anyways. If we determine that there is an excess of stormwater coming from the site, holding you to come back at a later point in time to address that. And on that same vein, I was thinking a similar thing for the fire hydrant. The fire hydrant proposed by Scarmazzi, I want to say that's most definitely coming in, as well as the upgrades to Hidden Hollow, but might be worthwhile to do a similar thing if for any reason a fire hydrant never comes within that distance, being held to that as well as a condition.
I believe the fire hydrant in Scarmazzi is going to be farther than the one on Woods Edge of the road, so I think that's your closest fire hydrant.
And existing fire hydrant is the closest one? Okay.
So the one you're referring to is existing, it's not
Correct.
conditioned upon Scarmazzi.
No, it's out there.
Sean, you had that review letter that we referenced as an exhibit. Have your concerns or comments been addressed since then?
If you want to mind rewinding 1 second, when you put, I believe it was Exhibit I, was that a modification letter dated August 26th? All right.
August 26th.
Yeah.
Additionally, another letter, T3's August 6th letter, is a response to my comment letter.
Okay. So
I'd like to see that added to the
so
exhibit as well.
August 6th is I is the last one that we submitted. J. So this will be, so the August 6th letter, August 6th letter for key 3 will be L. Very easy with L.
JK.
Is there any other correspondence that needs to be added in between you?
Just to clarify, there was a revised set of plans, which I believe is what you mentioned when you put it in, but
The plans I have are dated
Yeah, I got those 8-4.
8/4. Yeah, 8/4/20. Are there earlier ones that need to be entered?
no, the revisions went above and beyond that, the first set of plans that were submitted. I don't think they need to be entered, but
Yeah. The plans, the 8/4 ones are the ones that are up there that you're proposing to act on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
correct.
those are it, okay.
So going back to your question, our comments were addressed. Quite a few of them were addressed by way of requesting a modification. So I would suggest for the supervisors to take a look at the T3's letter and see how they were addressing our comments and whether their modification requests makes sense to you as well. One item in the letter that I'd just like to bring up, I stated the terms of the expiration of conditional use approval should be set forth in the conditional use decision if applicable. So with most conditional uses, they typically expire if there's no land development application, grading permit application, building permit application, occupancy permit, etc. But due to the nuances of this project, none of that would apply, as more or less the gist of it is bringing in these self-storage buildings, adding a lock to your gate, and any minor improvements you choose to do. So being that the typical expiration wouldn't apply, I would recommend some thought be put into that. Me and Michael Kearney were talking about that earlier, and sort of what we thought made sense for the spirit of how that ordinance exists is if the pods weren't brought in within, I believe the period's 12 months, then the conditional use would expire. So something along that line. The only other comment we had that remains outstanding is the review letter from the Washington County Planning Commission. I don't believe that is required, but it is something we asked them to provide. I have a copy of correspondence that they asked for it. It's my understanding that there was a death with the father of someone at the Planning Commission, so they're just kind of delayed on producing anything at the moment.
Yeah. And I would just like to add to that, Sean, we could provide the certified return receipt that was delivered to the Planning Commission. Typically, they would comment on a subdivision plan. Since this is not a subdivision plan, it would just be a review that the conditional use is allowed, permitted in C2.
Anything else?
No, like as I alluded to earlier, recommend looking at how they plan to address some of our comments with modifications. My opinion is a lot of them make sense. And then as far as the stormwater, I think having some foresight into maybe potentially what could go wrong and holding them to that if anything does happen in the future. So
Again, no signage is proposed for the site?
That's correct, right? Yep.
At this time, I would open it to the public. If the public has any questions, comments, you would